podcast, guys. My name's Chris. I'm your sub-in host for Connor.
I'm Mcphillips, I'm the permanent host, the cool one.
And today we have a special guest. She's been on the podcast before, but today she's bringing something special to the table. She's bringing fun facts.
Okay.
This is Callie's fun fact corner.
Fun fact, you know that game where you put your hand, like it's like captain's coming and you have to like follow all the orders? So one of them is all hands on deck. So at my old elementary school, like the floor was just a really thin, hard carpet and then concrete underneath. So the teacher said, all hands on deck, and I squatted down and put my hands like in between my legs, and then I fell forward and busted my chin open. Fun fact! Fun fact!
Probably possibly the best story I've ever heard.
Wait, fun fact. The fire that Lady Liberty holds is just to heat the soup of our nation. That's an inside joke.
Bless up, Mama Liberty.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
That was Callie's fun fact.
Give him that bit of ASMR.
What?
Okay, so now we're getting on to a serious topic. Not really, but we're talking today about sex ed, and especially at BLS. So, Callie, do you want to start talking about sex ed?
She's the only one that knows anything.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Okay.
Shows you how good of a job BLS is doing around here.
Alright, Shannon.
Oh, yeah, I got this.
Oh,
Shannon.
Okay.
Alright, you know what? Let me try. Okay, so
I can
sex is the method in which people procreate, essentially. So what happens is.
Okay, we know. It's not like it.
I did not know that. Please continue.
Okay, get it all out of your
Okay.
system, okay?
Alright, okay. So, to rephrase what Chris was trying to say in a better light.
Okay, we're not going to talk about how you have sex.
Alright, everybody knows how to have sex, or they've watched porn. So I'm not wrong.
He's not wrong.
So, okay, so sex is something that a lot of people do, especially teenagers. We would know, we are teenagers.
Okay.
But
Okay.
not implying we've had sex.
Okay, let's
Because,
restart this.
I mean, like, have you seen this face though?
Okay, so today we're going to talk about sex ed because it's a natural thing and a lot of people do it. I don't want to say all people do it, but a lot of people do it. And it's important to be informed about like who you're going to do it with and how to prevent pregnancy and STDs. And I don't feel like the sex ed at our school is better than most schools, but there's a problem with sex ed at our school and also like sex ed in general, like in the country. And so basically, I had Miss Jamal for sex ed, and she was like the best sex ed teacher ever because she actually talked about stuff. But we still never got to the topic of like the school doesn't really talk about consent or gay sex, same sex, sex, whatever. And then, because I know that a lot of stuff that I had to find out being bisexual, I had to find out on the internet, and that's not like a good.
Yeah, it's not a good
resource.
Shout out to WebMD.
Because a lot of gay teens think that they don't need to be protected because they think that they have misconceptions about how STDs are passed, and they think that just because they can't get pregnant doesn't mean that there's nothing to look out for, which is not true.
STDs are everywhere.
And dental dams.
Don't be silly. Wrap your willy.
Callie, can you please explain what a dental dam is? Because I have no idea.
Well, that's like, how do I use this? Okay, when you're doing
Alright, here's an image of it.
I don't know if you want to show that.
We'll show it.
When you're doing oral on somebody, there's like a way. It's like made from the same thing as a condom. You can actually make them out of condoms. They're just like. It's just like.
Protect your mouth against all that gonorrhea.
Yeah, in case your like partner has like herpes, because that's the thing. A lot of people have herpes.
Actually,
Most people have
an
herpes.
interesting fact, a lot of people actually have herpes.
That's
It's a
Callie's job.
misconception. that herpes is kind of like a rare thing. Over like 90% of the population actually has some strain of herpes. But that's including oral herpes, which is different than vaginal herpes.
Yeah.
So we actually just had somebody from behind the camera point out that they haven't had formal sex ed in our school, which not a lot of the health teachers actually talk about it besides Ms. Jamal. And Ms. Jamal, if you can hear this, you're the best. Damn right.
Never had you, but I agree.
So let's just get a roundtable discussion. Have you guys had any experience with sex ed at BLS?
Well, besides Mr. Jamal, no.
My biology 1 teacher actually gave us a pretty in-depth experience of the way a child is made. So I'm pretty familiar with it.
Oh yeah, we watched a documentary in my bio class where there's this guy who was really enthusiastic about pregnancy.
Sounds like Mrs. Bazzoki.
And we thought he had like some kind of like organ farm or something under his house.
Okay, so my elementary school, I went to a private elementary school and we had sex ed from first grade. But mostly like first grade was like biology stuff. And then even so, like as we got older, they talked about like periods one time. And for the longest time I thought that you could only get pregnant when you were actually on your period, meant like you were bleeding. So I thought the rest of the time of the month you were safe to go. Imagine if I had gone through life just thinking that, like, bro. So.
I used to think circumcision was actually when they like chopped off the head, and we just.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that was pretty brutal. Okay, so.
Who's man?
So guys,
Shannon, what's your...
what do you want to say?
Well, I was just going to say that at the school, especially because it's a stressful environment, during our health classes, the majority of time is devoted to spotting the warning signs for a variety of mental illnesses, which, while it's important, takes a lot of time away from sexual education, which is a very important thing, especially in changing times when people are a lot more liberal with their bodies.
I've actually heard that because back when we were in 8th grade, I think that's when we took health. Or yeah.
I
So,
did it
like,
last year too.
Yeah, I heard Mr. Jamal's making some sophomores do it this year too. Like one of my friends is also taking health. So I think BLS is trying to make a push for more like sex ed experience. But like, I just think that it should be more teachers than just Mr. Jamal.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in my class, a lot of people just took it as a joke, and it's still kind of important to talk about, because although a lot of people do already know about sex, like, for the people who don't, it's important for them.
Yeah, and even for those who do know about sex, the thing is, like, it's hard to differentiate between like myth and actual facts, because there are a lot of things that we hear, that we end up believing. For example, the famous pull-out thing. The fact of the matter is, it don't always work.
Okay, but, so, actually, about the hymen, or pop in the cherry, as the kids like to say.
We're still kids.
Grandpa.
I'm a grown ass man.
Okay, so essentially, the thing about the hymen is. Bye, Grace. So the thing about the hymen is essentially it doesn't actually rip when you have sex, and if it does, that can be a bad thing. And even if they have a torn hymen, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a virgin. There are plenty of examples of people who have done physical activities who have torn their hymen, and people who have actually had their hymen heal over time. So it's not actually a good indicator if somebody's a virgin or not.
What do you even define as virginity?
Being
That
pure.
is a good question, because it used to be like, well, in straight sex, it should just be like penetration, but what really, like, if we talk about gay sex,
They're virgins for life.
yeah, like, also, like, I think that people can define what's having sex based on what they think. So, like, don't tell somebody they're like, I don't know, don't tell somebody they're like not a virgin when they are. Like, I don't know.
I mean, why do we even have that much weight on the word of like virginity? It seems kind of dated at this point.
It's true, a lot of people are like, it's like you're not cool if you are a virgin, but if you're not a virgin and you're a girl, then you're like, not cool at all, because then people think you're a slut. And I'm just like, how can you have like sex once and be a slut and then not have sex and you're approved? Where's, anyway.
Okay.
It's 2016. 16,
think
y'all.
a lot. It's the current year, friends. A lot of it has to do with like religion and stuff like that, because traditionally, we come from like a puritanical society.
Well, you know that it's because we come from
Yeah.
Massachusetts was founded by Puritans, so we still, to this day, have a lot of influences from that religion.
Yeah, and there's a huge Catholic presence in Massachusetts, and that's coming from somebody who was like a former Catholic. So
Well, as a current Catholic, obviously I can provide like updated things too. I know like famously, I'm pretty sure you guys most likely are all familiar with the church got divided over time into like thousands of like mini denominations, each of which have like their 20,000 beliefs. And even within each denomination, everybody has different beliefs. So like for example, I know like for example, fellow Catholics. I'm a Catholic, despite the fact that if you come to my church, you does not really feel like we're Catholic. But I'm telling you right now, there are Catholics that I know whose parents, it's like, let me catch you having sex before you're 30. I'm killing you, you know, stuff like that. But like, likewise, for example, my mom is extremely chill. Like for her, it's like, as long as I'm using protection, and as long as it's not just, I was at a party and I saw some hot chick, I was like, hey, baby, come here. Like, you know, as long as it's not just
those exact words.
well, yeah, like as long as it's not like kind of like, you know, improvised thing, like, you know, not as long as it's not just like you taking some girls to the bathroom or something like that, you know, as long as it was planned with protection and stuff like that, you know, she has that trust that that's actually, you know, it's gonna be safe and it's gonna be good. So that's the thing. So different people got like their different beliefs. So I think that's part of the reason why the virginity thing is like so many different definitions.
And to go off of that, I actually think that's another reason why it's really important to have sexual education, because a lot of people, like, ever since, like, I was little, like, throughout my life, my mom has been teaching me how to be safe as far as my body and everything else. But a lot of families, especially if it is against religion, won't teach their kids these things. And so if the kids grow up and find themselves in a situation and, like, have misconceptions or just didn't understand what goes into sex and safety and things like that, then they'll be a lot more unaware, which is why I think it's important to teach in schools, even if there is controversy around it.
Yeah, also, on top of that, to be honest, I feel like it shouldn't even just be in schools. I really would just be like an overall thing. Because like, the amount of people that are not woke about the subject, it's kind of crazy and disturbing, you know? Because, like, it's like, for example, my dad, as far as, like, if I had a dollar for every single time my dad has tried to claim that the reason why I come out of school late or something like that is because of the fact that I was like with some girl. It's like, boy, like I'm what's up? I don't know what you thought. Like, call me so. You know, so that's the thing. Like, I know like there are a lot of Nigerians specifically who like, as far as they're concerned, you know, they put you in a school with co-ed and a bunch of females. They can't really trust you. Like, do one bad thing in the house and it translates to you're gonna be dumb outside the house. So. Exactly.
Facts.
You the first can back me up on this. And of course, cameraman, you back me up
Can
on
I
this.
come in actually real quick, talk about?
Hey, cameraman, get in here.
Yeah,
Everybody's
well.
welcome.
Yeah. So by the way, guys, our cameraman is also Nigerian too, so he can back me up on this too.
Star of the football team.
Anyway, yeah, definitely coming from a Nigerian family. It was difficult for me because first of all, my parents were really controlling of me in my childhood, so I definitely didn't know anything growing up. Like, not only did I not learn like normal child things like how to swim, I don't even know how to ride a bike, but I don't know anything about sex. Like, if my brother didn't tell me, like, he took sex ed at his school, if he didn't tell me how sex worked, I would have no idea how anything worked, because my parents didn't tell me anything, because they just assumed that I wouldn't have it until I was older, and then by that time I would just know. And it's kind of crazy, because if I knew it younger, then I feel like I'd be more prepared, because like when my brother told me it was like dropping a bomb, and like my mind exploded. Like I was, like, it wasn't even a joke. Like I was kind of like, I was so shook actually. Like it was so bad. So yeah, I just wish that my parents told me when I was younger, so I like would have more information, because I still don't know anything.
Thank you, cameraman.
Yeah, so adding on to that, I guess my experience is I just kind of like dove head first because my parents like never told me. Yeah, not in that way. But essentially, like my parents never really told me anything. Like, my parents were always cool about it, but they never really sat me down and were like, "This is how sex happens. This is how babies happen." I just kind of picked up most of the stuff from TV and movies and like the internet. And because of that, I think I had a lot of misconceptions. So I think part of it also is that my grandparents were really Catholic and they didn't like talking about that kind of stuff. They'd probably beat me if I did, but they're good people. But yeah, I remember one time I was watching a commercial on TV for Viagra, and it was in the tune of like an Elvis song. And it was like Viva Viagra, and I started singing that to my mom, and my mom like legit was about to kill me.
To go off of that, I had like a similar experience with Shannon. Like my parents were always like, because I went to an elementary school that had sex ed since first grade, I knew about stuff, and if I ever had questions, which I never did, because who wants to talk about that with their parents?
Right.
Like,
Oh, you should.
like there was like always like, oh, you can ask. But my mom does this thing where she believes that like sex should be like between two people who really love each other. So that probably means that you're only gonna have like one or two sexual partners in your entire lifetime, and that's not exactly how I think. So like there's always like this voice in the back of my head, just like from my mom. So like she's like, I just hear her in the back of my head like, no, that's not okay. So now I kind of have a complex about it. So it just like gets in the way, and so like I don't know. I think I'm grateful the fact that they were always open about it, but I still like think some parents' beliefs like get in the way of of their children's beliefs, and that make them feel guilty for like teenagers for doing something that their body wants to do. Yeah.
Well, building on that, before I continue, my mom watches this. Mom, I love you. M-O-M, you holding it down. Alright, but anyway. That's POV and do shit. Okay, anywho. The thing, like, obviously, I think we all agree here that sometimes that fear of, like, parents, or in this case, grandparents, you know, the fear.
Alright, to be fair, I don't think my grandparents would beat me in a fight. I feel like I can.
Wrestling.
Okay. Okay, alright. But like I was saying, I think we can all agree that, you know, like the elders, those who preceded us, you know, I feel like sometimes we have to worry sometimes about their opinion when it comes to talking about this stuff, or just simply their opinions on it in general. But I hate to kind of play the devil's advocate, but in some cases I can understand why. Because the thing is, you know, famously, there's one thing my mom, and sorry, my dad as well. My dad kind of used it critically, low key. But one thing that I'm pretty sure my fellow Nigerians in this room can definitely testify to, and I'm pretty sure you guys should testify to this by now. Parents always have a habit of saying, since they're older, they have gone through everything you have already gone through. So essentially, when they're giving you advice, it's like you say they're mapping out your life for you, just helping you map out. Because you know you're like a blank. You're like just a pencil. They're like the ones using you to draw, help you draw on the line. Like you know what I'm saying? Exactly. So like,
Good metaphor.
Exactly. All right. So yeah. So the thing is this, right? Now, as my mom and I have come to a consensus, the fact of the matter is this. Now, let's say for example, my mom and I, we both went to elementary school. We both went to middle school. We both went to high school. We both went on. I'm planning to go to college. She's already gone to college. So likewise, these things are automatically by default the same, right? But already there are two different things. She went to school all through like her elementary, middle, high school. She went to all these things in Nigeria. I'm here in America. That's already a difference in itself. So that's the reason why sometimes when I hear an adult go like, everything we have done, everything we have said, you guys are going through it too. So now it's just up to us to help you guide you. Like, I understand what they're saying. Because the thing is, I know for some of them, they've seen situations where their friends have turned out to be complete like sluts because of the fact they were educated and stuff like this. Because you know the fact about it, there are two kids who learn about sex education. There are the kids who learn it and they're like, wow, alright, I'm educated. Next, whenever I have sex, you know, I'm gonna make sure I implement what I heard, right? Then you got the other kids who are like, that's crazy. This happens. I gotta go try that out. Like, that's the thing. And therefore, because of the fact that some of our parents is like seeing these like people, I feel like that one negative person they saw like influences the rest of their life. So therefore, it's like when they have kids, they're like, all right, never telling our kids about this stuff because they're about to do the exact same thing. And I feel like it's a matter of like morals. As long as the parent instills like those morals in the kid that when we teach you about sex, you're not just gonna go and run off and have sex. If that would have happened with all parents, then that little fear between sex education and stuff, yeah.
To go off of that, I don't totally agree with the fact that if you tell teenagers about sex, they're just gonna go have sex. Because teenagers will still have sex whether they know it's sex or not. Like there's things where kids will be like, she's pregnant, we didn't even have sex. And then the doctor asked them what they did, and then the doctor's like, yeah, that was sex. And the kid's like, oh, I thought it was this. Like, or they like didn't even know what it was. So I just think that to like say that by telling teenagers what sex is doesn't mean that they're gonna go like run off and do it. Also, what is a slut? Because you said sluts. What is a slut? What do you think a slut is?
Well, I don't know the exact denotation, connotation of a slut.
Vocabulary.
The connotation of a slut is somebody who just willingly gives up their body. Now, I don't know the original root from where it came from. It's like, where in history that really came from. The fact of the matter is, I think we all agree here, more often than not, when you hear somebody being called a slut, the first thing that comes to mind is that person who just, they see a guy, or if they're bi or gay, they see a girl and they're like, oh yeah, let's get it. Like, that type of thing, Obviously, like I said, I don't know like the original definition, like there's another definition for it, but that's like the connotation.
Yeah, I know. I just think that like just because somebody's like open with their sexuality doesn't make it negative. And like slut is a negative term used to describe a woman with the sexual morals of a man. So like
yeah, and I always thought of it different too. Like I always thought that like the term slut kind of defines someone who used sex as like a form of validation or used it for ulterior motives and not because they're trying to be open with their body or because that they know what they're doing. And I think it has a negative connotation, not that it's something that should, but maybe because it can have such negative impacts on the woman that it like kind of became a thing that like, oh, we can't have that, and then over time became something that's almost taboo.
Definitely, I totally agree with the fact that it's cases that some girls, yes, it's just them being open to sexuality, but I think we can all agree there are some girls who occasionally kind of push the limits sometimes. That's so
it's
like
not just girls. There's also
Yeah.
guys.
Exactly.
yeah,
guys
that's just
who-
my problem
we don't
that
wanna
like
exactly, yeah.
it,
So
like
like,
yeah, I'm sure that people use like sometimes people use sex as like I want to say like a weapon against other people, and that's not okay. And so like, but the problem is slut is a term used to like describe girls, and so if we're gonna talk about like the negative side of somebody who's like not actually open with their sexuality, they're just being like negative, then we can't like, I don't know, I just don't like the term because it's just usually talking about girls and guys can do it too. So.
I mean, it's not a bad history to it.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, you bring a good point though. I never, when I think hard about it now, I really don't know why like slut actually got called given like to females. Because the fact of the matter is, there are some manholes too up there. Like honestly, there are some guys who is like they
Cameraman just threw some shade.
Cameraman really just threw some shade. That's right. They really got dark in here.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, like honestly, there are some men who, in some cases, just like females as well. In some cases, it's just them being open to sexuality. But the sad thing is that, more often than not, it's just they were just like, the smell of vagina, intoxicating, and they just go towards it,
You know how this right Goku's like
Shout Back to
smell
Mr.
it.
Bullocky.
Wow.
It's like in those cartoons where it's like a pie or something, and the smell just and it's just
Yes.
like floating up.
Okay, I think that we're gonna. That's also why I think we need sex ed, because we need to think about people who are ridiculing other people for having sex, and then there's also people who use sex negatively, and that what are we doing wrong in our school system, or what are parents doing wrong to not to teach their kids not to have respect for others? Because I see there's this really unhealthy trend, and I don't want to be a lot of girls do this too, but a lot of guys I've noticed at this school don't understand boundaries with girls, and there have been incidences of guys touching girls in this school, or not even in this school but outside of this school. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. And then when they're because some people are okay with people touching their body, other people touching their body, because they're just an open person, and then other people are not really, so you have to ask. And some of the boys are, especially in my grade, I think, have been known to touch girls when they're not supposed to, and I just think it's not okay. I don't like it, because that's happened to me before, where somebody was in the hallway, grabbed my boobs, and I didn't like it at all, and then I yelled at them, and then no one came to my defense, and I felt really I kind of cried after, but it's okay. Yeah. So but that's just something that happens to a lot of girls at the school, and a lot of them have learned to brush it off, but you shouldn't.
I think that really brings us back to the idea of consent, and how it's one of the most important things is that people should learn in sex ed, and that it's really not something to be taken lightly, because not only are you kind of hurting another person and treating them a way that they don't want to be treated, but
Without consent, it can be a really traumatic experience.
right,
So
right.
A lot of time you'll see on the news or whatever, there'll be people saying oh, she gave me consent, or but not directly.
People need to really learn what consent is.
Just before you do anything with anybody, just make sure, because although you guys might be in the moment or whatever, just make sure, because that could really mess somebody up for life, and you don't really want that on your hands.
Also, the thing about a lot of people think that consent is just yes or no. It's only consent if someone directly says yes. That's why I like it when people are can I kiss you? Because then you have the chance to say yes or no. Because even if if a girl was, or a guy, if you move towards them and then they get really quiet, or they start to cry, that means no. If they look away and they seem they're uncomfortable, then you have to respect their boundaries and stop, because maybe they don't want to hurt your feelings, but in their mind they're I'm not comfortable with this. And I have dated people who didn't get it, and when every single time I said no, they would just give me a puppy dog look, and then I felt really guilty about it, and I was just
But you shouldn't feel guilty, because it's your choice and your decision.
yeah. So but it's still a lot of kids don't.
Yeah, and especially you can be okay with one thing, but saying yes to, I don't know, you're saying music doesn't mean you're saying yes to the rest of if you progress. I think it's important that
They haven't said yes to the chains of webs yet.
Do not kink shame people. That's important.
I'm
Don't
not saying
kink
it's a
shame.
bad thing, Callie. I'm just saying you gotta talk this stuff out.
Yeah, you gotta be is it alright?
Is it alright if I dress up like a banana? That's the only way I can feel gratitude.
Gratitude.
That's it's really nice is when one person goes if you're dating someone and they're we don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, then that weight is lifted off your shoulders, and then you're
And if you're in a relationship with someone, I don't think that it should be an expectation that the two of you have sex, or even if you do, it shouldn't be, if one person's not comfortable but they still want to be in a relationship, but the other person's just yeah, that's not how I understand what I want a relationship to be. It shouldn't be a big thing. It should just say worst comes to worst, you just part ways and say we had different expectations for what we believed a relationship was. it shouldn't be something like, oh yeah, she wouldn't give it out or things like that. Because I've heard stories where people like almost get like shamed for being like so-called prudish when they're just not comfortable at that point in their life, or even just that day.
And like even if you want really like you're like I gotta make out with someone, I need a relationship where I'm like we're like sexual. Then if you're dating someone who like doesn't think that way, then you don't have. If you want to break up with them, you don't have to be like, oh well, yeah, she wouldn't put out. You just be like, yeah, like you said, you just be like, I thought something and she thought something. Like she wasn't comfortable with this, like I was comfortable with that, and like that's why we like aren't together anymore. Like just because, don't feel bad because you also like be like your like needs. I don't want to say like if you like don't feel bad because you're like, oh, I really gotta make out with someone. I don't know how to explain it. Like if you really want to make out with someone, then you can date someone like that, but don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad for seeking.
Yeah,
physical side of the
don't feel
relationship.
bad for like wanting something physical.
Didn't you read Dorian Gray?
That's some gay shit, bro.
Actually, it was
Okay.
Oscar Wilde's gay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Me as an author, Oscar Wilde, gay as hell.
She got needs.
That's crazy. But
Tie yourself.
Maybe.
so.
So condoms, wear them.
Yes.
If
yes,
you're a
yes.
girl, don't always expect the guy to bring a condom.
Carry around condoms, yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like you're going to be engaging in some kind of like sexual activity in the future, just be safe. Buy condoms.
And spermicide.
And spermicide.
You gotta double up on
Yeah,
protection.
because-
Okay.
Can I just jump?
Yes.
Okay, also the
Oh, who are
nurses.
you? Introduce yourself.
No, wait. Okay, hi, I'm Grace. Also, the nurses has free condoms that you can ask for that they will give you. That was in the bulletin a while ago. If anyone
I
forgot about
remember
it.
in like
Bless.
8th grade, they passed out a form that was like, we are now.
Yes.
Like,
So if your parents signed that
Banana
form,
blast.
everything is good for you. You can go do that. So
Yeah.
fun
Banana
fact.
blast.
I think that's enough for today, guys. You guys had a really nice discussion. Just remember.
Hold up.
We gotta talk
Fun,
about gay sex.
fun fact.
Well,
If you're taking antibiotics
this better be
and
fun.
you're on the pill, apparently, according to my sources, biology too, you know, you can search around for who it was. The pill isn't gonna work, so you have a much larger chance of getting pregnant. It's like you're having sex just without a condom, without taking the pill at all. So don't have sex while you're on antibiotics.
Thank you, Mcphillips.
Also, if you do not know your sexual partner's history, don't assume because you are in a monogamous
Anonymous relationship.
relationship that you don't have to use condoms, even if she's on birth control. Because
You know what they say about assuming.
also,
Okay.
isn't there one thing that even if you use condoms, you can still?
Yeah, like condoms aren't always 100% effective.
Make it
So
rip.
What's that thing that like?
don't double up either,
what's
because
the
that's
thing
the
that-
worst thing
Oh,
you
they
can do.
like run together and they cause friction and then they'll tear.
Yeah.
And then what's the thing that like causes ovarian cancer in women that men can carry it too? We all got like shots from when we were 12.
Oh, yeah, it was
Oh, that short really hurts. It's like
No,
Really?
no, I don't know. I'm trying to look at the shots.
I'll look it up and put it on the screen.
That-
And if it's HPV, then it's gonna be just.
I think it's
I
HPV.
think it's
It's
I
Okay.
heard
I
that
think
that
that's
like
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard HPV like even if you wear condoms, sometimes it can like still. That's what I heard.
Okay.
You have to put a bubble.
So.
Fact check it.
If you guys want to learn more about this stuff, check out Sexuality. It's a great club run at BLS. It talks about this kind of stuff, and it's great for everybody to learn about it. Also, I think the GSA is going to be running some seminars coming up about sex ed. So,
So they will definitely have informative stuff about
yeah,
safe sex.
especially if you're,
No, like it's an important thing to learn about.
I know the way you say it.
Gotta learn.
Okay, so, guys, that's the podcast for this week. I was Chris,
Mecca.
Shannon.
and hope to see you next week.